Welcome to episode 15 of the Chi-Town Shoot Wrestling Podcast. I'm Marcin, and joining me in the squared circle today are Chris, David, and Andres. We're coming at you from the heart of the wrestling world, Chicago, Illinois, bringing you the latest news, hottest takes, and all things WWE and AEW. Don't forget, send us your thoughts, questions, and wildest predictions to chitownshootpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll tackle your comments in the Chi-Town Shoot mailbag. Without further ado, welcome to episode 15, everybody. We are chugging along, and we got three pretty awesome segments today. We're talking about MJF, and then we'll jump into our favorite SummerSlam moments and wrestling Mount Rushmores. But you guys, Chris and David, you guys were at a freelance wrestling show the other day, weren't you? How did that go?
A lot of fun.
Awesome.
Surprise appearance.
Who was this surprise appearance?
Oh, you had to be there.
Damn.
No
We gotta tell
spoilers.
the audience.
Ali.
Oh yeah. I did see that. And that was a surprise. They didn't announce it.
Nope.
No.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
God bless Matt Nix. Booker
Yeah,
of the Year.
man.
Move over, Tony Khan.
Yeah, take his job. What was I saw that the announcer was there. What did they say? How much they raised for his surgery? Or they didn't say anything.
No, they didn't specify no number, but they were doing a lot of auctions. They were auctioning off items that
Yeah,
people
you get
can
like a
bid
dinner
on.
with Bully.
Yeah.
They do. Did they sell that Cody Rhodes shirt? Did they show that off, or the jacket, the coat?
No.
I believe
Yeah.
that's already been shipped to the winner.
Damn. I wonder how much they paid for it. I feel like my max would be like $2,000, but it was probably much more.
Man, it was a raffle. It was a raffle for that.
It was a raffle?
Yeah.
Damn, so you could have like paid like $50 and then got it. I mean, statistically probably would have been unlikely, but that's fine. I feel like we also have to address the elephant in the room because we have somebody here who's currently missing hair and much whiter than
What are you talking
before. Do you want to explain why you look like Kratos today?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I guess
No,
we're
I'm
doing
just
that.
Renaissance Fair. Bristol Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, and you just painted the parts that were visible, right? And then you just put the sash on.
Yeah, clearly. Rest of me all white. Well, not as white as the rest of me. My face.
You're stopped like every couple. Well, I wouldn't. That's an exaggeration. Every couple minutes, but you got a good number of folks who basically pulled you aside and asked for a picture. Do you remember how many people like asked you for your picture?
Shit, at least 20.
Anyone said anything weird when they were asking for a picture, or they were all like, "Oh, cool." Looks good."
There was one guy. I thought you were bigger or some shit. I'm like, oh hell no.
Did he ask for a picture?
Nah, it was just like in passing or some shit.
Oh, what a bitch!
Some
What'd you say, motherfucker?
nerd.
That was cool. Though.
I've had.
You did a good job with that, though. It was really fun. But yeah, as of this recording, we're currently recording right after the Renaissance Fair, so we're really just kind of extending our energy battery here for all of us. And Chris, you were on like 3 hours of sleep, is that right? Like the other night. So did you even go to sleep?
What night would it have been? Oh, it was into Saturday. Yep, Friday into
Jeez.
Saturday.
And why is
Playing
that? 'Cause you're
Tekken,
playing
raging
Tekken?
hard.
Damn. And you had work in the morning too?
Yeah, I worked at 6 a.m.
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, part of the plan.
I mean, I got good night rest last night. I mean, I got about 7-ish hours or so.
That's
Felt
good.
pretty rejuvenated.
Rise and shine. Well, we also had AEW Blood and Guts this past week. I mean, as of this recording, but I didn't see it. But what did you guys think of the show for the ones who saw the match? Did you guys? We also posted a story for people to rate the specific blood and guts match. I think 3 stars is the average on there. There was someone I think who posted 2, and then another person posted 4. But what did you guys think of the blood and guts match? Did you feel like the way that they built the match, the way the pacing and all that kind of stuff, did you think it was entertaining? What did you guys think?
It was cool. I mean, it's kind of hard to get into one of those when it's like a TV match, but other than that,
I don't know why I was
Blood-
under the impression it was a fucking pay-per-view at some point. Was it not a pay-per-view like 3 years ago or something?
I think
swear.
they just got commercial, or like they would just go no commercial.
Maybe that's
That's a
what it
fair
was.
assumption, though. I mean, I thought too originally it was gonna be a favorite too. I'm like something like that. I'm like, okay, with that name,
It's just
they
a
obviously
special-
need to have a little more.
It's a special dynamite.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, from the clips that I saw, it looked pretty wild. They had Jack Perry strapped to the cage, and they did a chair shot to the head.
They're gonna light them on fire.
I saw the gasoline, but they didn't do anything, right? I mean, it was probably water. I hope it was water.
No, that's how he got his title match and his That's how Darby Allin got a title match out of it. He got a title match and they quit because he was gonna put him on fire.
Not a crime at all on TV for the crime counter. That's what we should also have, like What Culture with Simon Miller. He's got a crime counter for certain segments of his ups and downs. But
Like committing
Yeah.
a crime?
yeah, setting someone on fire on live TV.
Oh,
So
okay, right.
or like threatening that you're gonna kill them or break into their house. Like when they have like segments like that, he has like a crime counter that goes
Here,
up.
commit a crime.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Tony Khan.
He's
So,
handing him
yeah.
the gasoline.
Well, Chris, what did you think of the War Games / well, it wasn't, I guess, a War Games rules, was it? Like, they weren't like,
Pretty
okay, now
much.
we start the match?
It's pretty much War Games, but blood and guts.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was like one person at a time coming in, and then when everybody came
Okay.
in, it actually started.
So it was War Games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was
What
good.
did you think of the match?
That coffin drop from the top of the cage onto the table, that was a pretty sick spot.
Yeah, I feel bad for his back and neck because that shit went straight to the mat.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I think he
Okay.
tucks his chin. He tucks his chin. He goes like, ugh. So hopefully he didn't get
Yeah.
too much of a
Kinda
ricochet.
Yeah, I mean that looked like a wild match, but we're currently talking about AEW, and our first segment talks about specifically MJF. He had a interview with Sports Illustrated not too long ago, this past week, where he boasted about carrying the company on his back for the past 5 years. He's been without. He did have an injury for a while, and he came back during Double or Nothing, right? And that's where he showed the tattoo on his ankle about betting on yourself, the crappy tattoo with the uneven poker chips. So in the Sports Illustrated interview, he talks about carrying the company on his back. He says, quote, "I've been carrying this company for 5 years on my back. People need MJF. It's that simple. This company needs MJF. Fortunately, they've got me. What's this company without MJF? It's boring. This is the most people have talked about my company in months. Thank me later. If you're not going to give me my just due now, you'll have to when it's all said and done. I'm the most interesting man in professional wrestling. I've been that way since I laced up a pair of boots. There are 2 types of people. The ones who admit I'm probably the greatest overall package in the history of the sport, and then there are people who want to pretend they know better. They won't admit what's right in front of them. For years, people said John Cena was not the GOAT. They said Randy Orton was boring. Interesting, he talks about the 2 WWE guys. Those people actually exist in the world. Those are the type of people who see mediocrity when they look in the mirror, and you can quote me on that." So I kind of wanted to bring this specific segment up. First, like your initial thoughts about what he said, and do you feel like what he said is accurate? when it comes to him and AEW. And obviously, like, I feel like he was in character, and very rarely I feel like he breaks out of actual character when he does interviews, or, you know, when he is interviewed, like whether it's like an indie interview, whether it's in a magazine or what have you. I feel like he always stays in character and rarely I feel like gives a truly, I don't know, candid opinion. Like, maybe it's candid, but I feel like there's still like that extra layer of just like heelness. Yeah, that's why I feel like it's potentially work. But what do you like? Let's pretend it's true. What do you guys feel like his comments are accurate? Do you feel like it's boring without MJF, or has his time passed? Or it's interesting with MJF, but even if he's gone, it's still pretty interesting.
I think things just stay interesting. It's just like WWE. If somebody disappears, like the whole show goes on, and people step up 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Like his gap was kind of like where they they debut Okada and Ospreay officially as an AEW wrestler and all that stuff, and I feel like all that happens with or without him. He's probably one of my favorites to watch, but like,
Across all promotions, would you say?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree. Yeah, I agree too. No, it's a good interview. I mean, it's just obviously, yeah, he's in character, but without like being in character, AEW is still, a decent product. They got great talent and stuff, but without him, like, it's definitely a big carry without him, I'd say. But no, it was a good interview. I like I kind of like a lot what he has to say, to be honest. In general, I like listening to MJF. It's because good interviews, promos all around.
Yeah, Curtis.
More like mid JF. Yeah, I'm starting beef with his ass right now. You clip this shit, you send that shit to him. I want to see what he says. But
with your Kratos makeup.
That's right. I'm gonna wrestle in this shit.
He'll probably dunk on you if you tag him.
Good. But nah, I mean, like, he's great. I mean, is he as great as he says he is? I mean, I think there's some exaggeration there, but I mean, he can't deny that he's a talented wrestler, and I think he's created a lot of interest for AEW specifically. Now, I don't know. I mean, he's back on TV. Are the numbers up? Like,
Yeah.
They are up.
Yeah.
I mean, if they are up, then I guess the proof is in the pudding. As far as
it was about like 780. I mean, yeah, which is pretty good. Obviously, Blood and Guts is a special, so it will be higher. But I think the trajectory has been kind of hovering around like 700, 780 for the past couple of weeks. Well, what do you guys think about the current like situation with MJF, like his current feud, the way his match that lasted an hour, and then he won the belt and then changed it to, is it North America or American? Just American Championship.
America. With
like the super gaudy American flag leather strap. Yeah. I mean, do you guys like that? Do you feel like it's like old shtick? Like, does it feel like just like the same MJF stuff? Like, do you feel like it should have gone in a different direction? Like, do you feel the luster has kind of dimmed a little bit? How do you feel about his latest iteration of his character?
Pretty early. I mean, he just changed the belt. Now he's defending the belt in Rev Pro as well as CMLL. So like.
Oh yeah.
See how those go. He cut a promo where he was just talking about like he's finally going to Mexico and how he likes Mexico for food and vacation, but he's not sure about the wrestlers. And that. So between doing that and then he's gonna go to do it for Rev Pro, which is a British indie. Be pretty cool to see. I don't really like the whole like super tone deaf whatever culture, insert culture, act like a complete jackass about it. But Yeah, I guess it goes with being the American champ, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's probably leaning into that specific
Yeah,
aspect of his character, and obviously
the
it seems
cornball
like
asshole.
they switched it to the American Championship because of going to Wembley. So they're just like, let's make him as American and stereotypical as you possibly can.
Well, Osprey also had changed the United States title to the United Kingdom when he was in New Japan.
That's true.
So it's kind of like a troll move to him too.
And who's MJF going to feud right now with that belt?
On AEW, it's Osprey, and then just all that random stuff with him hitting other promotions.
Are they facing each other at All In or All Out?
Looks like it.
You mean All In?
All In, yeah, in
The Wembley
out.
one? Wembley
Yeah,
one's All In. Chicago is All Out.
Yeah, keep forgetting. I keep trying to think in my head in and then out. Yeah, All In. Well, that's good. I mean, do you guys feel like it was the right decision for them for Osprey to drop the belt so quickly? Because I felt like didn't have it that long, but you know. Maybe they were trying to prime him more for the bigger title.
I think it gives him something to chase again, and like MJF gets a belt because he just came back. Might as well give him something, and he just adds a little bit more prestige to the belt, making a little bit more of a lineage that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then go. It's also like a big part of just like MJF being able to tour around. Like I'm sure Osprey would have done it, but I feel like MJF should probably be the name that goes around representing AEW to other promotions.
Yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
sir.
And I taught you mentioned like lineage, and we talked about how the company can be interesting without him. But if we put him back in the picture, and then when we compare him to people who they consider as that similar level, like a Kenny Omega, a Chris Jericho, a John Moxley, an Osprey, a Swerve Strickland. Where do you feel like he falls in that? Um, do you feel like there's a ranking? Do you feel like he's better than most of those guys? How would you compare him to other wrestlers of that caliber in AEW?
I think they're like top 5 to 10 is just like it's like just listening to something on shuffle. Like it all really depends, and it's kind of like the same with WWE. It's where there's more than one top star, so it's just really about like any given day, so
That's
to
very
speak.
true. I feel like I mostly agree with that, but I do feel like there are people that are like, yeah, this guy is the guy, like Roman Reigns. I would argue, like, yeah, there are people who kind of like shuffle around, and depending on what the story is, like Sami Zayn at one point was super popular. Cody Rhodes obviously has the belt right now, and he had that giant skyrocket of popularity during this past WrestleMania season. But yeah, like for like a Roman Reigns, for example, I feel like he is like the guy, or The Rock, for example. Like I feel like they're a different echelon. So I don't know. Like for me personally, I don't know if there is that kind of person in AEW. But if I had to pick somebody, I would probably put MJF in that upper tier, just because of, for one, like the longevity, how long he's been with the company, but also in terms of microphone skills and wrestling talent. I don't know if I was the biggest fan of that people's scumbag kind of stuff, but I do like that he basically reverted back to his asshole heelish things. I think you can change it up a little bit, but yeah, I would put him above. I would put him above the other guys personally. Maybe not Osprey. I feel like Osprey's turning it to he's getting into his own in terms of like in front of an AEW audience, because obviously he was super popular in Japan and He was an indie darling for a while. But yeah, he's also becoming that kind of person. But yeah,
If I may interject,
yeah, sure can.
I think Osprey is a good example of what AEW kind of encapsulates as far as their style of wrestling.
Mhm.
And then he also can cut a pretty decent promo. So as far as top guys, I think he's definitely up there, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously you have like the four pillars that they kept talking about, like Jack Perry, which I don't think. I mean, I don't agree with that. Or Sammy Guevara. I mean, I guess he's been off of TV for quite a while, right? Like he had a couple of. I mean, he had a baby, so obviously that's pretty nice that they get so much time to, be with their kid. And
He was
you know,
also suspended.
what was he suspended for?
He fucked up Jeff Hardy.
Well, there's the other. There's. I guess that's a strike against him.
And
But yeah.
he was supposed to stop, or he was supposed to go to the finish, and then he decided to keep going.
And yeah. See, like, yeah. So, like, the ones that they consider pillars, like, I wouldn't put them in that tier personally. Like the Jack Perry, the Guevara, Darby Allin. It feels like a Jeff Hardy kind of. Like
I give
where
Darby
he's
shit,
like,
but he deserves it.
what
He's
was
in a good
that?
spot. I give Darby shit, but he's in a good spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not a bad spot, but yeah, if I had to like pick somebody who's above the pack, I would put MJF in a different. What is he considered a pillar, AEW pillar,
Yep.
or because I wasn't sure if they included him in that because
I mean,
character.
I
The
think
point
he
of
was
the
a
pillars
heel
was they're
character
all
when they were
younger
doing that.
talent.
Yeah. I'll look it up later, but but if I had to compare, him to the rest of them, I would put him on a different tier. But yeah, you know what? I think that we can stop right there for the MJF story, and we're talking about people who are in an echelon, in a era, in a stratosphere of unto themselves, or a mountain, if you will. And in this segment, we'll be talking about our personal wrestling Mount Rushmore. So we'll all go around. You know what? I think what we'll do is, so it'll be five. And instead of just listing all five out, I think what I'll do is we'll each pick one and then just kind of talk about it and then just keep going round robin until we hit five.
Five. Okay.
I think that makes it more interesting than just listing them all out, unless you guys want to list all five and then just argue about the five, about why or why not you guys think that it makes sense. I already know you're gonna shit on John Cena, David.
He's an honorable
that's
mention.
He's number
that's
6.
fair. Yeah, he's 6 or 7.
It's just outside.
It just depends on who's asking, I guess.
Yeah, but let's do that. Let's do. I pick one. Let's start with John Cena because that's my. I'll start with him because he is on my Mount Rushmore, and I already mentioned it, so it makes more sense. But yeah, I would put John Cena in my Mount Rushmore. I mean, all the reasons that I gave last episode when we were focusing on his retirement. I mean, as a wrestler, as a person, as a human being, like John Cena, again, he's one of those guys like Roman Reigns where I'm like, this is different, like from everybody else. You have like the super popular wrestlers and all that, but he is like in his own like stratosphere. So I would put John Cena. I mean, in terms of wrestling ability, like he's not, a trampoline monkey. Like he's not flipping and doing submissions and doing all that kind of cool stuff. But in terms of his wrestling ability, he understands how to sell moves, tell a story.
He knows how to work a match.
He knows how to work a match. Exactly. He understands pacing. 5 Moves of Doom, yeah, great. It's the same stuff, and it's probably easy to just pull those out of your hat. But
Somebody say Doom.
Doom. Yeah, 5 moves of Doom, exactly. But all the greats have their 5 moves of Doom. Hulk Hogan, John Cena, The Rock. Stone Cold Steve Austin, I guess, has that too. But
Robert
I
Downey
feel like to a
Jr.
lesser degree. Yeah, RDJ. But yeah, mine is John Cena. What do you guys think about that?
I agree.
Honorable mention.
I
Honorable
agree.
mention. Good pick, bad pick.
I
Good
like
pick.
I like Cena, but he's not in my top 5. I was thinking about it pretty hard. I was like everybody I essentially picked was somebody that generally made me feel more positively about them rather than like because with John Cena, like no cap, like there was some like resentment, like disgust, feelings of disgust because I was trying to tap into like when I was watching at that point, I was like, ugh, this guy, ugh. There was a lot of that for a while, so I feel
Yeah.
like I just based it on that. But like looking at it now, yeah, I mean he was tough, but yeah, he's cool.
And I'll argue that that resentment and stuff, because it's such a visceral feeling when you were watching it, though, that's still leagues above, like, oh, that's Jack Swagger. Like, you're not like, I fucking hate Jack Swagger. You know what I mean? Like John Cena as a wrestler and a person, if he came into the Allstate Arena, like, people would boo the shit out of him. But he's getting a strong ass reaction. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
still that kind of star power. So. Yeah, that's my number one. So I guess
Are we
Chris,
actually ranking
you're
them though? Are
or
you? Is
no,
this no
just my
particular?
first pick, my one pick. I'm not
Okay,
ranking them.
okay.
So they're just the 5, but they're not like in any particular
Okay.
order. So who's yours? Your first one?
Oh, Stone Cold. Can't you tell? What? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stone Cold. Just
Stone Cold
overall,
on
just character, demeanor.
What?
Exactly.
What?
He wasn't like a crazy
Yeah.
wrestler, but again, he had that John Cena thing you were talking about as far as like selling a match, selling moves, working the crowd. He really knows how to work the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And every segment that he would have just memorable. I would say there's a lot of just memorable moments with Stone Cold. Sure there are for John Cena, but I mean like Stone Cold specifically, like in his own category. Like most people, when you even like ask somebody, they're probably gonna know who Stone Cold is. Sure, they'll probably know who John Cena is, but as far as just iconic things, people always go back to WWF, especially people who don't watch anymore. Like they'll know Stone Cold.
That's true. I've seen people who still call it WWF, even though they changed the terminology, like, or the logo over 20 years ago. I think it's like
Yeah.
22 at this point. So
It's
that's
been
pretty
E longer
bananas.
than it was F at this point in
Yes.
its life.
That's pretty
insane.
crazy.
True. Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
that's a good
Stone Cold's
one.
a pick.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree. And he isn't on mine, but I was also thinking out because like hard because I was also like,
That's hot.
man, I was like, what?
It's a hot
What was
take.
that? Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not. He's not on mine, but I kept thinking like the ones that I was like missing, like, oh shit, like I don't have Undertaker on there, and then I kept thinking about all these other ones. I'm like, this is really difficult because there are so many people that like it's like people that I didn't necessarily grow up watching. Um, well, they are, and they were, but they had like a longer career than I was like watching, but like they're still very. They give me a visceral reaction. But yeah, Steve Austin, I definitely agree with that one. You guys agree, disagree with this pick, and maybe that's
Agree.
on your
It's
Rushmore.
on my Rushmore. Mhm.
He's got a goddamn
Dave,
cat. Poncho.
yeah, you got a freaking cat. That's also plus 2 points for me. Well, David,
Hey,
what about you? What's your first pick on your mountain?
my first,
Yeah.
we haven't said, well, Stone Cold's on mine. I'll go with Taker.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a goodie.
That's a
Why?
very good.
He's different big man than the big men before him. Like him walking the ropes was a big deal when he first did it. You know, like he's also been like a big mentor to like any other big guy. And
Mhm.
outside of that, just like his matches and like everything that he's like done, like I remember being scared of the Undertaker and like as a kid, because like
Yeah.
the first time I ever watched him was like Ministry of Darkness, and like his intro where the like he's speaking Latin, like it used to freak me out. And
Yeah, it
then like
freaked
I
me
didn't
out
see
as
him
a
again
kid.
till like American Badass. And then when I was a kid, my favorite move was the power bomb. So like seeing the last ride on top of choke slams and everything else, like uh just like a super cool character from a biker as well as being a dead man.
Yeah. Versatile, but also like the streak. Like who the hell ever is ever going to have a streak like that again? You know,
You know,
like that's insane that he went 20, I don't even
One.
remember,
21.
21 and 1,
Yeah, one. Yep.
something like that. Pretty sure he lost again to like Roman Reigns, didn't he?
Yep.
So yeah, at that point they were like, "Ah, fuck the streak." Even I mean, it's still
Yeah.
wild though. For 20 plus years, you were
He
winning
squashed
every single
Cena.
WrestleMania. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That was good.
Was that a streak
Uh,
match?
There's a Mania impromptu choke slam and getting the fuck out. Yeah.
yeah, the CM Punk Undertaker match was really good too. But the one that I thought like for Undertaker that I thought like oh shit he might lose that was very close was that Edge versus Undertaker match at WrestleMania 24. If you guys haven't watched
Yeah,
that
that was a
one, like
great
that
one.
shit was like I was like holy crap he might actually lose. But yeah, really good match. Yeah, and all his like streak matches, like it was always like again, like one of those things where it's like an event and a lot of people pay to see that specific match at WrestleMania. Now there are sometimes like Mark Henry and Undertaker at WrestleMania 22. Nah. or
It's
Ric
what I
Flair
do.
versus Undertaker. I don't know. But you know, like there's some stinkers and I feel like it got more important closer to like when it was like WrestleMania 20, I'd say like 23 onwards, like it got more like important. Like they ramped up like the oh he could lose the streak, you know, like they kept making it more of an interesting thing and a focus. So yeah, I agree with that. That's a good pick. Andres, who's yours? First.
My first one. It's hard to think of, but I actually, because I'm trying to be different, I was gonna put The Rock on my first one.
Okay.
Um,
And you know what? You know, if we when we keep going around and there's already a person that you picked, um, or that we already talked about, just you can mention them again, but like just tell us why you picked them. You know, it could be the same
okay,
thing or
okay,
whatever, but yeah.
sure.
So what was your first the first one you said?
First pick is The Rock. That's why I went
Okay.
with.
Why
Thought long and
why
hard about it.
Rocky?
Just because he's for what he's done for the business, how long he's been involved. I mean, he's got his whole family lineage in it. He's still reinventing himself still too as he's actively going. And then same thing with Stone Cold. Like to Chris's point, like you can't not think Stone Cold and not think The Rock, especially in that era. And there's never been another era like that where you had both guys where you couldn't really, which was number one. Like really, it's
Hmm.
debatable. Like, which guy was actually the number one guy in the company when they
That's
were both
true.
at the highest.
And both of them,
So
I mean, I guess The Rock's career has been much longer in terms of wrestling, but Stone Cold's was pretty short when you
he's
think
also
about it.
older though. Yeah, he was also older though.
Yeah, I mean, he also broke his neck when he was like just getting popular, and then
Yeah.
he hit a peak, and then just kind of, you know, stuck
So
it
that's why I went with him.
through it.
It's hard to come up with a Mount Rushmore to be honest, because there's so much to put into it. Like
Yeah,
to think like
that's what makes it fun. It makes it
it does.
controversial. Why you leave people out, but yeah, The Rock is a good one. He's also not on my Mount Rushmore,
He's
but
not.
Kind of
yeah,
Mount Rushmore do you have? Timu?
All whites.
Well, when I get there, I'll let you know. But yeah, The Rock again. The Rock. I feel like for me, yeah, The Rock is another one that was like super. Again, it's like super hard not to put him on there. But I was for me, I was like trying to think of like people who again like just kind of like resonated with me more. But yeah, I mean, again, it's hard because you know you got to pick five, and you can probably put like 10 or 15, you know, people on these things if you're thinking of like the best of the best. But yeah, I mean, again, like with The Rock, yeah, like he's still at the top of his game right now, and he's pushing 50. You know, like this
All
whole
that
final boss
TRT,
thing.
baby.
Hey, whatever works,
HGH.
man. Whatever he's doing is working, and I feel like he's doing some of the best work of his career right now. So
Hey, I got
I
that
mean,
Papa Tui on deck.
that Papa Tui, that Mama Rhodes, you know, the whole belt. I mean, all of it. Like it's awesome. And then his classic one-liners and all that kind of stuff. I know, like for me personally, it did reach a certain point where it was just catchphrases and all that kind of stuff when he came back in like 2012.
He said some wild shit, though. I guess they all did it back then.
They all did.
Yeah, fucking.
Like Chris Jericho calling Stephanie like a trash bag hoe or slut or whatever, and doing all that. Like that was pretty.
They got dirty and bottom feeding.
Yeah, bottom feeding,
Oh, yeah.
dirty trash bag. They were all saying it. So you know. But yeah, but that's also I guess partially because of that. But he's still a great promo talker. He is electrifying. He does have an energy. Like he's undeniable. So
He's literally always brought up the rankings too. Every time that they announced he was coming to Raw or whatever, like ratings would go up. I mean, even we saw with his not being announced for Chicago that that arena erupted.
Yep.
We were there.
Yeah, that was the loudest I've ever heard it.
Yes. So yeah. So I will. All right. I'll go back to mine. So I picked. One of my other picks was Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. One of the people that I like when we started again with the whole DX thing in 2006. That was a whole big thing we were invested in, rated RKO, all that kind of stuff. But then like just kind of going back in his career and then just like doing like looking at like the DX stuff, the Bret Hart, like the screw job. I was like so invested in like that entire like story. Like I read Bret Hart's biography, I read Shawn Michaels, I had both of their documentary DVDs. And again, he is Mr. WrestleMania. He has amazing matches. Like fucking Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels. It's amazing that he never fought The Rock before. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels with a broken freaking back, basically like lived through it, did
Losing
the
his
job,
smile.
left. Triple H, Shawn Michaels,
Losing his smile.
That's what I'll mention in the SummerSlam memories. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. If I had to think of like pure wrestling and just like matches and emotions and also just like great talker too, I would put Shawn Michaels up there. And that's my pick.
He's actually not on mine, and it was hard to do that.
Yeah.
He could be on another mountain, basically.
Yeah. Any thoughts on mine? Any objections?
No, I agree.
Trash,
I love it, actually. You explained it very well.
Garbage.
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
Well,
it's hard.
It's not on mine either, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you know who is?
Mm.
Triple H.
Ooh. He's on mine too.
I agree with that too.
The cerebral assassin.
He's on mine too. Why did you pick Triple H?
I mean, he's just a badass. He's just a fucking badass. His theme song alone is a top 5. Like that shit goes hard.
All time, for sure.
For sure. Like if you're gonna make entrance music top 5, that shit's number 1 at least, or top 3 at least.
I mean, even he was pretty good too. But yeah, the game. No, he had 3 amazing theme songs. He had "My Time," which I think was the same band who did the DX
Yep.
song. and then he had the game Triple H with Motorhead, and then he uses King of Kings like occasionally. It was like for specific events. I don't think he had it consistently, right? Or maybe he did it for a brief period, but
He
then
did
he
in
went
like
back.
08, 09, I think.
He had it for like when he was in the Authority.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He had some really random song too for like a very short brief time when he joined the
The
corporation.
Blue Blood.
It was something. I don't know. I like randomly saw a match of his, and he was still like with China, and like he came out. I was like, "What the hell is that?" I gotta find it again. It was like some random ass song.
Was it like Bodies Hit the Floor?
No, it wasn't even like heavy at all, which is the funny part. I gotta look it up, but
Yeah, look it up. But yeah, Triple H was on mine too, and I guess I'll agree with you on that. I mean, like matches, like if I think of like an asshole heel, like just like, but he's also it's not a chicken shit. He actually was like he'd like kick your ass, like Evolution Triple H. You know, I don't Reign of Terror Triple H. They want to say. Like that was the heel. Like that is the guy who I think of when I think of like a big heel. And again, and outside of wrestling, what he did for WWE, what he's currently doing for WWE as a creative director,
The Chaperone.
yeah.
turning that the chaperone movie star,
Blade,
yeah,
Blade,
Blade, the chaperone.
part of the
Oh,
MC.
yeah.
Was he a Knucklehead? No, that was Big Show
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
in the diaper. Big Show is not on my Mount Rushmore. But yeah, Triple H is a good one. A good one.
Yes, yeah.
All right, David, who's next on yours?
I'm gonna give one to Cody. I'll get out of our generation of watching his kids,
What?
and
I was not
will
expecting you to put Cody Rhodes on there.
I'll give one to Cody Rhodes.
Damn, why?
But not John Cena.
Damn. Hot
because
take.
look at indie wrestling from 2015, 16 to now, and then don't see where I feel like Cody doesn't get a lot of the props for making all that cool because of like a lot of the guys that were there, but Cody was responsible for a lot of those houses.
Yep.
Which led to AEW.
Yeah. That's a
That's
good
a
one. I
very
didn't
good
think
point.
about that because, I mean, he betted on himself for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he
And then
needed
it's
it.
also turned into like that's the trend now. Like you go away from WWE, you tout that you have something to prove, you put on some good matches wherever, and then like he did that, and then it was like Drew McIntyre was able to do something like that.
Yeah. I feel like
Bobby
Toni Storm
Lashley.
can do that too, honestly, because she's reinvent like she is a more interesting character now than when
Yeah.
she was in WWE. I mean, yeah. So I agree with that. And again, like you said, AEW, he helped create another promotion. I don't want to say he solely created it because people would give us shit for that, but yeah, like that. Just that. I mean, the renaissance of the recent popularity of WWE. I don't know if it's reached Attitude Era levels. I mean, we're in the bubble, so like people will talk about this afterwards. Kind of hard to assess when you're in it.
Yeah.
But like indicators of how super popular it is like sponsorships and interacting with mainstream singers and rappers and that kind of stuff in commercials, Wheatley vodka sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like that's a pretty good like indicator about like you're the guy, and it's popular enough where everyone's getting these kinds of sponsorships and deals. So. And Cody Rhodes is a big part of that, so I agree with that one. Andres, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Like, I kind of hate that we went around twice and no one said this name because I don't want to say it, but
Come on, man.
Hulk
Joe
Hogan.
Hendry.
Damn. You Trumpomania.
Because it's like, especially with recent things that just happened.
2024.
Well, I know. And then, yeah, with that, and then the other thing that happened when he launched his beer, that whole thing, I'm like, oh, God. Especially with his track record. It's more than likely checks out with him. But I'm like,
yeah.
it's kind of hard like to not deny that though, because obviously he was like the first face of wrestling, you know. Obviously not the first, but the first big one that like got idolized as it has, you know, like
Yeah.
what The Rock had done too was done before, you know. So he was the first guy. He was a household name.
You're right.
Oh,
You're right. And I didn't put him on mine either because I was being petty because of all the recent stuff. But
Oh, I
also
know.
like
I didn't. I was,
his history and that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, yes, you are. You should be on Mount Rushmore because what you like contributed to, wrestling as a whole. Like that whole era, like couldn't really exist without Hulk Hogan. So
no, it really
of
couldn't. I
course,
mean,
like objectively, of course. But I was like, nah, you're not on my list.
I know. I was like, please someone say Hulk Hogan before I do, please. No one fucking did it either.
I'll put him before Cena.
Damn, that's
New
good.
World
That's like
Order,
my
brother.
second one.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And
mean,
or the
yeah,
NWO,
yeah.
he was also part of that whole like renaissance in the 90s, absolutely, going into WCW and then starting or helping start the NWO, like that whole thing pushed then WWF to do Attitude Era. So,
And then
yeah.
also too, like he was able to go back to his original character, and it was like it was still really good. It was great.
Yeah.
Like the crowd loved him, the universe loved him. He tagged him with Edge. It was just random, but it was like he was still that popular. He can do whatever, as regular the red and yellow Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
That the
I mean, he had a
fans love.
stint in he had a stint in TNA too, but I mean even that, I mean there were
Oh
some
yeah, that's
moments that were
yeah.
there were
Yeah, he
moments that were
killed TNA.
good. Yeah, I mean they turned it into a square instead of a was it an octagon?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's a good
Was it?
pick. Can't deny that.
It's yeah. I mean, I was like, I don't know. I'm like, please, someone just say it first. So I don't have to say it. Okay.
All right, let's see. Did we go? We went around thrice, 3 times.
We're going to the third one now.
Okay. Well, you know what?
I think you'll be picking your third.
Okay. Well, you know what? Because I want to like try and stay on time because we still want to talk about SummerSlam and this. I don't want to drag it out too much. So I already mentioned that I had Triple H, John Cena, Shawn Michaels. I have CM Punk on my Mount Rushmore.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I have CM Punk for a couple of reasons. For one, he like if there was a person who is like the hometown crowd like just fucking adores him, like I feel like he is one of the few people that it's like really like there are people who are from like from Cleveland, Ohio, like Miz is from Cleveland, right? And so is Johnny Gargano, but they don't get that kind of pop when they go to Cleveland, Ohio.
It's fucking Cleveland.
Well, but still. Chicago, I feel like is different. Like even like Mustafa Ali, for when he was like in WWE, he wasn't getting that kind of pop like CM Punk, like when he was in Chicago. So like that's part of like that cult of personality. Again, another guy who's got like a theme song, 2 great theme songs. This Fire Burns, like that. 2 awesome theme songs. He understood his character. He's really good at developing his character. When he was like the Straight Edge Society with like the Jesus thing, or it was like Jesus or more like Marilyn Manson, I think was what he was going for. Really great stuff.
You mean Charles Manson?
Yeah.
What did I say? Marilyn Manson.
The beautiful people. The beautiful people. Nice.
Yeah, that's getting close.
Great
Yeah, broke his own rib to suck his own dick too.
Oh,
That's just a rumor that I feel like that shit was just some shit some kid made up and everybody just thought about
in the
it.
playgrounds. Yeah,
that's when I heard it too when I was a kid. That shit's old as hell.
It's like, why the hell did all of us know that as a kid?
Right?
That's
Who
true.
spread that shit?
Yeah, who spread that shit?
It was that S symbol. Like somehow everyone just kind of knew what that was.
Yeah.
Without the internet, it just spread amongst the playgrounds and
Somebody must have
elementary schools.
researched that shit.
Must have. But yeah, so the
I got
song,
Punk on
his
mine, too.
characters. I mean, like just like regardless, like people like even if you hate on him, severe reaction. Like anytime he's on TV, like people are interested in him. Like he was one of the sole reasons that AEW got over 1 million views on a number of episodes because he came back and really helped their product. I mean I feel like folks can't deny like when they announced CM Punk in AEW, they felt like business was picking up even more, you know. And again, his whole stint in WWE, like that whole Summer of Punk era, the Money in the Bank 2011, like that whole 2011, I'd say up until like 2013 or so, just very good stuff. His stuff with Paul Heyman, being a Paul Heyman guy, his most recent stuff with Drew McIntyre is like one of the best feuds of the year, and I'm super excited about SummerSlam. So yeah, and I think he might be my favorite talker on the microphone of all time, just based on like his diversity in terms of how he delivers stuff. It's not just catchphrases. He talks like normally, like talks like a normal guy. Doesn't feel like he's reading off a script. Just understands how to connect with an audience. So
He's just whining about his job.
hey, he brings in the ratings. That whining sounds good to me. I'll say. Chris, you want to jump in since you said you had CM Punk too?
Yeah, you want to be wrong too?
No, I mean it was just that era when we started watching again. He was definitely one of those guys that just kind of just stood out. And the music, of course. The theme songs are timeless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean like he's just overall just an interesting guy to pay attention to, whether you like him or not. But like when he showed up in AEW, I mean that was definitely a hype. I remember just when I watched that Rampage episode, I mean for sure there was like a lot of hype for that whole year or however long. And of course, Brawl Out, baby. Can't forget
Mr.
Infamy.
Controversial. Yeah.
After works with kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Brawl
I mean that's
Out,
why he's
Death
up
Count
there.
match.
Hometown boy. And I mean he just got the whole package. So
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Honorable mention for me, please.
David, what do you
put him
got?
over Cena.
Damn, do you put
Oh.
Hogan and CM Punk over Cena?
Yeah,
I
dude,
mean that's
like,
yeah. I mean, sure, why not?
like who watched fucking house show or like wrestling in general when there was at like 40% capacity? Like you guys talk shit about AEW having half crowds. What did WWE have for
In
8
like
years?
2019. Well, no,
29
they had pretty good capacity. Like when it was like 2000, it reached the shit point in 2019, 2018.
Even 13, 14, 15, there was fillers in
Yeah,
Chicago.
that was definitely like that was the
Yeah.
off time right around there.
That was
13,
the
14.
Cena hangover.
I went to
Right when
Raw and we
Punk
were on
left.
the second floor.
Right when Punk
They
left,
upgraded
that
us
shit
down
went
to
to
the ground
shit.
floor.
Rey Mysterio.
Oh,
Is
very
yours?
good.
That's a good one.
Thank you,
Why?
bro.
Has worked in almost every major American promotion. Has it influenced probably anybody that you watch that has any type of aerial maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got
Swerve,
one for you.
Ospreay, Jay, all those type of dudes. I really enjoyed his matches growing up. Like he was probably like one of the first guys that like I saw and was like there was like a shock and awe to wrestling, other than from other like feats of strength,
Yep.
like feats of agility and athleticism.
I mean, especially in like American wrestling, like if you think about like if we just think of like American wrestling, like WWF, and even to a certain degree WCW, like seeing a masked wrestler like that was not super common back
No.
then. You know, like that was a novelty, and on top of that, he's just a really good wrestler. Selling, he can speak on the mic. You know, I wouldn't say he's as great as like a CM Punk or a Rock, for example, but he can talk and he puts on really good matches, and you know his stature and his speed like just really works well with like bigger people too, and then obviously shorter or lighter people. But yeah, that's a great pick. I agree with that one. Andres, you got someone else?
Yeah. Sting. This one
Damn,
for me.
I was gonna say.
Hey.
I thought I was gonna be the first.
The Stinger.
He's the first to say Hogan and Sting.
Damn.
Sting. I
Why
mean,
Sting?
he's a legacy like wrestler completely. I mean, all around, like, always had like. Was he ever like a heel really per se? I can't remember if he ever was.
Sting. I mean,
He
was
always
it a
like
Joker or was that Joker
That
like?
Mafia kind of.
Yeah.
kind of right. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, his legacy alone. I mean, he helped keep WCW going. Like he was the guy WB always wanted. I was always a fan of his too growing up because his look was so cool, especially in the old '90s, and he had the bleach blonde like short haircut and the face paint and stuff like that. I mean, he stuck out as a great character, great wrestler, great worker. Not too many people ever really talk bad about him either.
Mhm.
Great champion, face of the company too. I'd even say for a while there. He was like the face of WCW. I'd say for sure before like the Hogans came, before the whole NWO was a thing and stuff like that. But always put on great work, great matches. Pretty good in the mic too. Like I don't know if like like you said, a great talker. Like but he's great, but like I don't know, like not like a CM Punk kind of
Yeah. But he definitely
Yeah.
has the Riz, though. I think
Yeah, he does.
He's got charisma. And he's got that
Yeah,
it
but he was a
factor.
workhorse too, and he's carried like every belt pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, you guys talked a little bit about the 2015. There was a slump. I will argue that that was still like the Shield, and when Sting actually showed up in WWE, that was in 2015, 2014. So that was good. That was actually, and I was like, that was one of those moments again. I was like, holy shit, Sting is in WWE. Like that
Mhm.
was crazy when that happened at Survivor Series, I think, and it was the
Yeah.
Authority. So
How many
that
can
was really
say like as many promotions as he's been? How many other wrestlers can say they've been in like WCW, TNA, WWE,
cool. Right.
freaking
AEW.
AEW?
As like a
Man.
top guy on all of them, like recognized as like a top guy. I mean, I think WWE. I mean, I think the reason he also left was because Seth Rollins like broke his back basically.
Yeah, he did.
He injured him. So that was unfortunate. And then I wish like his stint in WWE was longer, but then he wouldn't have gotten the AEW stuff and done all that crazy shit because I don't think Vince would allow him to do all that stuff. But
No stage diving.
yeah, yeah, that's a good pick. All right, I did Triple H, Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, John Cena. So my last one I put on for me was Roman Reigns. Ooh, there we go. My volume just lowered, but yeah, Roman Reigns is in my Mount Rushmore. Um, the like I gave him crap during the Shield times and things, but again, it's another like that John Cena thing where like he's getting a reaction. You can tell he's like the it guy. Even when people were like, no, we want Daniel Bryan, and they were trying to, put Roman Reigns, and then they sent out The Rock, and then they still boot him. I think that was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I stopped watching a little bit, and then when I started watching, I was like, well, holy shit, Roman Reigns is like this, top guy. And then I really reached that crescendo of like the bloodline and Roman Reigns and all that kind of stuff. Like for me, it started with like the Sami Zayn stuff, and then it just kept riding that wave for 2 years basically with Roman Reigns, and like undeniable, like the one of the third longest reigns of all time as a WWE champion. He's got that aura. Like if they announce that Roman Reigns is going to be at the show, all those shows would sell out guaranteed. And he's got like pops, reactions. He can wrestle, he's got a tiny bit of a John Cena moveset, like with his own version of 5 moves of doom with the ooh and the Superman punch and the spear and all that stuff. But again, like all the greats do, apparently, Hogan, Cena. Roman Reigns. But yeah, really good. He deserves it. And all the shit that he's been through, that he was fighting through. He had leukemia, and I think he's still like on some kind of like leukemia medicine, but he's
He's on
still
oral
wrestling and
medication.
doing his own thing. He's taking like some kind of pill or whatever, but like that really humanized him, and I felt like that helped with his character too, like just talking about himself and that he has to go and take care of himself. That was very powerful. So yeah, I thought that was really good. Um, any disagreements with my pick?
Nope, not here.
Not here.
Definitely
Not
above
really.
Cena.
All right. Well, yeah, those are all my picks. Chris, you got anyone left you want to talk about?
I mean, I had Sting, but I also have Edge.
Ooh, okay. Talk about Edge.
I'm an Edge head, bruh. I think there's a theme. I think a lot of people are based on the music that they come out to. Because
saw
that's,
a pattern.
that's a badass
Kind of how
song.
you.
That's the baddest. But
Mount
no,
Rushmore.
he was a really good. I think as far as heels go, I think he's up there, top 3 for me as far as heels. Like when he was a heel, like his face would just like widen when he would go into like that edge or the spear or whatever, and just this guy that just like conniving and just like manipulative or whatever. I think
The whole La Familia thing with like Vicky Guerrero, or even like the Lita stuff, like the life, sex, celebration, all that kind of stuff. Like just if I had a chicken shit heel like playbook, that's who I would want to follow. Like someone like that. And he's also a really good wrestler too. And he's like, I know CM Punk talks about being like John Cena's Batman, but I also feel like Edge is that for John Cena as well, because they had a lot of really good
literally had that thought. I was gonna say he's the
rivalries.
Joker to his Batman
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
Yeah, so
it's
he's
good.
up there. I mean, like latter career. I mean, some back to be desired, I guess. But yeah, he's up there for me. The tag team stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
Edge and Christian stuff.
5-second poses.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the greatest tag teams, one of the greatest champs. Like he's dominated 2 divisions basically. Like people I don't think would argue about Edge and Christian being one of the best tag teams, and then him also being one of the best. Not a lot of the people we mentioned can say they're one of the best tag teams. So he's got that going for him.
And to be a single star after being essentially known as a tag team.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like Shawn Michaels did it, but I don't think anyone would really say like the Rockers are one of the. I mean, I'm sure that the people will make that argument, but like, I don't think they're as high as that.
Marty
So-
Jannetty
If
still
somebody said
can't walk.
the Rockers, I'd tell them let it go.
Yeah,
Just saying.
old head.
Yeah, they
As
didn't
we
even
talk
win
about these old
anything.
wrestlers. Yeah, I had Sting as well. Just to kind of
Okay.
bounce off of Andres real quick. As far as like people who were transitioning to the 90s, like getting away kind of from the corny, super colorful 80s stuff, like he definitely excelled with his character. I think the silence and all that stuff, the crow stuff,
Mhm.
and reinvented himself however many times at this point, right? Since
Yep.
then. So he's up there, and who can say they were in as many promotions as him, and had as many titles across all these promotions as him?
No, I agree with that.
That's my 5.
Nice. David, you got anybody left?
All mine got listed, but my actual honorable mention would have been AJ Styles.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So,
Any thoughts? Did you want to add anything onto the picks that you had, your existing ones, or you kind of agree with everybody what they said about you?
It's all pretty spot on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, those are really good. Yeah, I mean, again, like you mentioned, like AJ Styles, I'm like thinking like Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. Like they all would deserve to be on that mountain too. Andres, did you have anybody
Bret Hart,
left?
no one said Bret Hart.
yeah, I
Oh,
had
Bret
one
Hart.
more.
Yeah, I was thinking about Bret Hart actually. But again, I was like, it's either Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels, and I just picked Shawn Michaels.
If it wasn't for fucking Goldberg, you would have picked Bret Hart.
Honestly, that was probably part of that too, was him talking about Goldberg.
Speaking of Goldberg,
Is he on yours?
No, fuck.
Oh,
Damn.
that would have been interesting.
Yeah, no, but someone who is not mentioned, Ric Flair.
Is he on yours?
Ooh.
He's on mine, yeah.
You got
Yeah,
all
he's
the
on my list.
controversial people on that shit.
I know.
Hey, I respect
Make
it.
But I mean, he's
respect
wrestled in so many promotions, top guy in all of them. You know, part of the it's one of the greatest heel or stables as well, because the Four Horsemen. He was also in Evolution. You know, reinvented there. I mean, actually wrestled Sting in the very last Nitro too as well. I remember that was a highlight. I was actually in Florida when that happened, but I was nowhere near the arena though. But I was watching on TV. I was like super hyped about that. But I mean, Flair was just like an overall like great wrestler, worker. Personality wise, probably not. But you know, he came out with those beautiful glittery like robes and stuff, and like that. You know, people wanted to be him and stuff like that. Like he actually lived his actual character's lifestyle too outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy like hearing what he's done, but like still being able to show up to work too, and like being a workhorse basically. You know, but that he was the top guy in all his promotions that he's ever done all over the world, and he's been doing it for like 40 years. His Hall of Fame speech went too long because he's remember they kept cutting him off. They're like, "Oh, you gotta go, man."
And he's retired at least like 5 times. I feel.
Yeah, I think he's got another one in him. I bet you
Another retirement match.
I put money on it. To be honest.
God, I hope not.
As far as people
either.
who are imitated, he's probably one of the most imitated wrestlers as far as the high profile, cocky kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, MJF is basically kind of taking bits of his playbook, you know.
Sure, he also
he said he was a Jewish Ric Flair, basically.
He was Shawn Michaels' inspiration before wrestling.
Yep, that's true. I remember that in the documentary. He had a magazine in the mirror holding up to his face because Ric Flair was that big. I mean, that's why he picked him for his retirement match, I think, too, which is a really great match. His first retirement.
So my Mount Rushmore is Rock, Sting, Ric Flair, Stone Cold, and unfortunately Hulk Hogan.
Nice.
Damn,
Nothing wrong with
WCW
that.
alumni on there.
Yeah. Goldberg
Hell yeah.
next.
Honorable mentions was Undertaker, Cena, actually Rey Mysterio as well.
Nice. I actually didn't think of any honorable mentions, but as you kept talking, I was thinking Kurt Angle, Bret Hart.
Kurt Angle, yeah, Bret Hart. Yeah.
Those
are
two.
very good.
Cody Rhodes, I feel like I still need more time with him to put him up there. But you made a really good argument for him, so I can't.
On the way for sure. I definitely say so.
Yeah.
Like when it's all said and done for him, yeah, definitely, he will be up there.
And I did it all without being a Cody crybaby.
Hell yeah.
Just on the inside.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that went a little longer than I wanted, but we'll try and wrap this next segment up a little quicker than that. But SummerSlam is coming up, so I did want to talk about SummerSlam in general. It was known as the biggest party of the summer. The first ever SummerSlam was held on August 29th in 1988 at Madison Square Garden in New York City. August 29th, 1988.
86, but yeah.
Okay.
So you
Master
were there.
of Puppets came out
You were
that
there.
year.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So SummerSlam is, like I said, referred to as the biggest party of the summer. I don't know if they still call it that, but I think they're switching it to Hot WrestleMania. But yeah, it's considered one of WWE's big four pay-per-views, and I will argue because it's WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam. But I think SummerSlam, they're trying to position it as like the number two, like the WrestleMania, like the big event during the second half of the year. And I think it deserves it, and they are going to apparently push it to 2 days. I don't know if it's next year, but they're going to turn it into a 2-day event, which I think will be cool. But I want to take this moment to just ruminate. I don't know if you guys had time this week to think about SummerSlam, because I was watching all these matches and I wanted to talk about like our favorite moments when we think of SummerSlam. what do you guys think of? I can kind of like start and just kind of talk about it. I figured we could just kind of like whoever thinks of it, just kind of we can chat about like the match or the moment like leading up to those matches, that match in SummerSlam. So the one that I wanted to bring up, and I already, well, I shared it on social media, was the Randy Orton versus Hulk Hogan match at SummerSlam. That was one of the ones that like kind of stuck out with me when I was thinking of SummerSlam. This is like 2006, so this was like right around. So this is the 2006 SummerSlam, and they had Randy Orton versus Hulk Hogan, and Hogan was kind of like still living off of that. Well, he was still around. Like he wasn't as often. I think he was being shown more of like a marquee at that point, because he fought Shawn Michaels the SummerSlam before or the year before. And he was involved in those previous years with Edge, like you mentioned, and he had the Hollywood Hogan stuff. But yeah, that SummerSlam was the first one that I ever saw in like as an adult, or as a cogent person who would remember pay-per-views. And this, I think we were in 8th grade. And yeah, I think it was our first pay-per-view that we watched too, or maybe it was the first one we watched since the Attitude Era, and we were watching like in 2000, like SmackDown, that kind of stuff. And that's what got us back into wrestling. So yeah, I remember in that SummerSlam you had Hogan. Basically, it was Randy Orton had his Legend Killer thing. You had Brooke Hogan in the mix for whatever reason. Hogan got RKO'd on that car. The match itself wasn't that great, and Hulk Hogan won, of course, which I don't think should have happened. But that SummerSlam sticks out in my mind, partially because of that match, and then the whole DX reunion happened that year, and they faced Shane McMahon and Vince in a tag team match, but it turned into like a gauntlet with like 5 other people. The Spirit Squad came out.
Yeah.
William Regal, Fit Finley came out, and then they basically plowed through all of them, which is also a little problematic. But yeah, I just really liked that SummerSlam. I don't know, Chris, do you remember any of that pay-per-view in 06?
It's definitely a blur. I do not remember that pay-per-view
At all?
No.
What about for you in terms of SummerSlams that you remember or that stick out in the past, I guess, decade that you remember, like things that you feel like kind of stuck out for you in terms of like a memorable moment?
Honestly, for whatever reason, like SummerSlam just never was that pay-per-view that it was like memorable in my head. You know what I mean? It would always be like closer to like WrestleMania time, the Royal Rumbles, the WrestleManias. But SummerSlam, I mean, and if there was like a Edge John Cena match, like if that was a SummerSlam match, that would
Pretty
be
sure
probably
it
a memorable match.
Yeah, pretty sure it was, which was a good one. Was it not the TLC match?
Yeah,
might
I think the first
yeah,
TLC was in. Yeah.
the first ever TLC was a SummerSlam match, but that was
Yeah.
a tag team.
Yeah, which was a really good match too. By the way, so you're saying you're not a fan of SummerSlams in general, or nothing sticks out?
At least for me, like I really do need to go back and watch some SummerSlams because like I've obviously watched them, but I'm just like, yeah, I don't recall.
What about the match with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, like the forklift, like basically threw the
Oh yeah,
entire
I mean that shit was crazy.
arena on it?
That was
What about that Lesnar squash match against Cena?
Yeah, that too.
Oh yeah. I mean that was a good one. That shit was crazy with all that blood.
I mean, the CM Punk stuff at SummerSlam. He also had a number of good matches.
CM Punk and Brock Lesnar.
Summer of Punk.
CM Punk and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
the World Heavyweight Championship match. That was actually really good, and that was kind of like when he was starting that, straight edge, better than you, and then he started, kind of preying on his, drug habits and all that kind of stuff.
He's like, this is a legal drug that you get from a doctor or some shit.
This is
so that was really
Hardy
good.
gets
And if you actually go back and see that match on Peacock, it was like a ladder match, but that was really good. And Jeff Hardy was going into it as the world heavyweight champion, if I'm not mistaken. And it was that year, those years basically where Jeff Hardy was like that, kind of like hovering around. Like they gave him I think they gave him the WWE championship at one point. He beat Triple H at Armageddon. And then obviously kind of like what happened with RVD. He got suspended, and then they had this whole like wishy-washy relationship with Jeff Hardy after that. But like that was another big one, like with him with the face paint and all that kind of stuff when he came back that second time in like 07 or 08. That was really
Edge versus Undertaker in 08.
Oh yeah.
Hell in a Cell. That was pretty good.
That shit was the BAM. For sure. What about you guys? Any other like SummerSlam matches you can think of that kind of stuck out in your brain?
HBK's return match was SummerSlam against Triple H. That was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Custody for Dom.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
That was at SummerSlam.
That's
And it's happening again.
I didn't watch it.
Was the Icon versus Icon Hogan and HBK match? That was SummerSlam as well.
That was
right?
also at SummerSlam. Yeah.
Was that the one where he like oversold?
Overselling. Yeah. That was 05. I think that was the same SummerSlam as the Dominic Custody match.
Lord.
Do you remember this match? Team WWE, John Cena, Bret Hart, Chris Jericho.
Oh yeah,
Daniel Bryan, Edge, John Morrison. Yeah, Nexus.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but I just wanted other people to talk first.
Damn, I don't remember that shit. I mean,
it was also
honestly
like
remember
14 years ago.
Yeah.
My favorite
you were saying
would be the one when it was 2001 when the Alliance was still a thing.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of those matches were like unification matches. Like I remember like X-Pac, Tajiri, RVD, Jeff Hardy, fucking Brothers of Destruction against like Chronic or something. They got like spot in the cage.
Was that like the cruiserweight, light heavyweight unification? Was that on SummerSlam?
Yep.
That was the year Booker T and Rock for WCW Championship.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That was when Kurt Angle was going through that whole like his first like really big face push, and he had like the milk truck and all that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wish I saw that.
Right?
Yeah, he'd already joined the Alliance.
It's funny, he was a heel, but like everyone still loved him.
I think that's where I read that the Bodies Hit the Floor was like the Alliance's song for a little bit. And then 9/11 happened, and then they stopped using it for,
I didn't know
obvious reasons. Because this SummerSlam was like right before 9/11. And then they switched it. But yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, that's another good match. But yeah, you mentioned Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. So originally it was supposed to be, they agreed for it to be a best out of 3. I don't know if they never talked about it like on TV, but I think that was like the backstage like conversations about, we're gonna make this like a best out of 3. You win 1, I win 1, and then Hogan would win the last one, and they agreed to that. And then Shawn Michaels was basically also doing some of his best heel work that year, because that was also the same year when in the middle of that feud where he went to Montreal and he cut that promo on them. And they put the Bret Hart music on, and like that was a pop too. Like when they played the Bret Hart music in Montreal, and then nobody came out, and then he was just like, "What? Like what?"
God,
like, that was so good. Oh my god! Yeah. I can't imagine like how, because like he got booed the shit out of. Well,
he did.
They realized that they just got the word put over there. Like they got worked. Yeah, a bunch of fucking marks. But yeah, that was a really good one. And then yes, for whatever reason, Hogan just didn't want that to happen. He just said we're having the one match and I'm going over. Doesn't work for me, brother. I mean, he was a back-to-back SummerSlam winner because he beat Orton
He
when
said
he was in his legend killer phase still. Dumped his ass. And I mean, Shawn Michaels said after that, I mean, I think it was a couple of years after that, that he did feel like it was a little bit unprofessional about like how he sold those matches.
Just a
But
bit.
I gotta say that was iconic though. Like you remember that match because of that insane like overselling. Like he literally like kicked him and then he like did like this bounce and roll. Like he jumped up and then Hogan turned around. He thought he just like no sold his move, but he didn't realize he was like going back down on the ground. So like if you look in the video, he's like, because he was about to go like, what the fuck? Why are you still standing? But then he did
Oh,
like
I
this
gotta watch that
stupid
match now.
over the top.
It's very
like,
funny.
roll.
Yeah.
You see Hogan like fucking fighting everything in his body to like not spaz out in the middle of the ring
Yeah.
at like certain points of it.
Yeah, that was
Pretty
really
much.
good. So yeah, definitely watch that. And for everyone who's listening, if you're younger and you weren't even born in 2005, you should rewatch that SummerSlam match. Bret Hart, I mean, like he was in a lot of SummerSlam matches too. I mean, we talked about him, and he would definitely be in my Mount Rushmore as like a number 6 or 7 if we expanded it to 10. But yeah, he also did a bunch of matches. I believe he did one with the British Bulldog
And perfect.
and Mr. Perfect. So he had a number of real classics that people put on like their best matches ever, and those happened at SummerSlam. Those are really good. You mentioned, Chris, the Team Nexus one. Like that one, I completely forgot about until like I was like researching SummerSlam matches, and I saw the one in 2010. And yeah, like that was like again when the Nexus showed up. Like you had Skip Sheffield, who was
Yep, yep.
Ryback. You had oh my God, you had Wade Barrett, who was the leader. You had
Heath Slater.
Heath Slater when they did the whole Wendy's thing. Was it that year? I think it was after the fact. I think it was after. It might have been when CM Punk took over the Nexus. But yeah, you had
Husky Harris.
Husky Harris. I forgot Black John Cena's name.
David Otunga.
No, it's not Otunga.
Oh,
Darren
Darren
Young.
Young.
Darren Young. Thank you. Yeah.
Fred
Justin
Rosser.
Gabriel.
Justin Gabriel. Yep. Ricky Martin looking ass. Michael
Tarver.
I think that was it. And then Daniel Bryan was there for a little bit. And did they? I think they actually suspended him because they said like he was
Choked
choking
out
out.
Justin
He got fired.
Yeah, he got fired because he was choking out Justin Roberts with
that
his
face.
tie. It
Well,
was like
Iconic. Fucking
was so
funny
good.
as hell.
He didn't finish.
I forgot about that.
but yeah, so choked him out. He got fired, and then he came back for Team WWE. And then you mentioned Bret Hart in that match because that was the same year where Bret Hart came back to the WWE, like at
That
the
was
beginning of the
2010,
year.
right?
Yeah, so like that when he came back in January, that was like when TNA was trying to go head to head with WWE, if you remember that. Like
And with Bischoff showing up.
yeah, Bischoff, Hogan. I think they were airing it at the same time as Raw.
It was on Mondays. They brought back their first Monday. They brought back the NWO.
Yep, basically.
They called
Yeah.
them the Band. And Hogan was
Man.
like, "Not this time, guys.
Yeah.
Not this time." That
Oh,
was like
yeah.
his whole thing.
And I think one of those episodes was when Bret Hart came back and he was talking to Shawn Michaels. Like that was one of the head. I was like, "Yo, you guys are fucked."
Yeah, they
Like,
had some like cage match with RVD in it. I remember that.
yeah. So so yeah, Bret Hart was there. He had his WrestleMania 26 match against Vince McMahon. I think right after, or not too long after, he won the United States Championship for a little bit, and I forgot about that little stint he did. And then he was basically into the WWE for the next like year 2 years, because then he was also like a manager for like Natty Neidhart and that kind of stuff. So I remember that. And yeah, he ended up being Team WWE versus the Nexus. So it was basically WWE's version of the NWO um, in 2010. And yeah, that match basically it was basically tit for tat until the end when it was like 2 versus 1, and then Cena basically pinned them both, if I'm not mistaken. I think there were some shenanigans, but yeah, he ended up paying them both, and that was one of the biggest regrets that Cena had during that time, because the Nexus was getting super hot, and they just started in like June, so like 2 months passed, and you already beat the Nexus. Like they blew their load super early. They could have like extended that considerably longer, but then they like changed it
The
way
core.
better. Yeah, you had the core. Well, you had the new Nexus with CM Punk. He had the yellow shirt, and then that new Nexus bit was when he did the whole that pipe bomb, and that was that era, 2011. So yeah, core, new Nexus, all that stuff. But yeah, that was an interesting match in SummerSlam history, like leading up to it. It's just an unfortunate, you know, unfortunate result, because I feel like that really dimmed the Nexus's um, momentum. Like they just kind of looked like jokes after that.
And that's why he's an honorable mention.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. Any other matches you guys can think of before I wrap this thing up?
HBK and Scott Hall again. So they did the rematch from WrestleMania 10. They did the ladder match. I think it was in SummerSlam, I believe.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
The Rock versus Triple H ladder match for Intercontinental title.
Wow.
That shit. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure that must have
It was pretty
slapped
good.
hard.
Oh, was that when like all of DX, everybody in the group had the gold, right? Like the Outlaws won the tag titles. I think X-Pac won the European title, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was that same SummerSlam where they all won something that year.
Yep.
That was a good. That was a good choice. Man. That's when he had those bright purple pants still
Mm-hmm.
with the H's on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, clean shaven. Was he still clean shaven?
Yeah. Yeah. He was clean shaven,
Oh wait.
and he had like a. No, this is like the '90s.
Oh, 90s. Yeah,
Rock
he was clean
versus
shaven for
Rock.
sure.
Oh yeah.
So go make more movies and fucking F5 them a couple more times.
No, yeah, that was really good. I'm trying to think of like other ones, but yeah, like SummerSlam '07, like it was, yeah, it wasn't that great because you had Batista, Great Khali for the World Heavyweight Championship. You had John Cena versus Randy Orton, so that's kind of when they started that feud, and then Triple H was fighting King Booker.
Booker.
And Umaga was still alive. And that's when they were facing Carlito and Mr. Kennedy. That was like that kind of mid card thing. I was trying to think about when that John Cena Edge one was. Was it '08?
Durag Vince.
Maybe it was 2006.
I mean, maybe it wasn't a SummerSlam match. It might have been like some other pay-per-view or some shit.
It must have been. There was a singles match for the WWE Championship. It was Edge versus John Cena, but I don't think it was TLC. And that was in the '06 SummerSlam. So that one I do definitely remember. And then that same SummerSlam, Batista defeated King Booker for the World Heavyweight Championship. So yeah, that one I remember too. But again, yeah, there were moments like it's just like because there are so many pay-per-views, and yeah, sometimes you forget because I mean, for one, it's also been a long time, but yeah, but Peacock has a hub if you guys are interested to see like what people consider to be like the classics. They have a hub of all those like specific SummerSlam matches and shows. I might put on a couple while I'm working this week to just kind of jog the memory and just kind of remember watching like the 2000s ones, and just kind of because I feel like once you hit play and watch it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle was really good. It was like
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio's debut match.
Is that like 02? Something like that.
03, 2,
I think
3.
it was 02. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this year's SummerSlam. Primarily, I think a lot of people are just looking forward to CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre as the match because it's
Absolutely.
Jack
Punk's
Perry will
first.
intervene. Mark my words. Can you imagine that?
I
How
doubt
insane would that be? Huh?
Yeah, it would be insane.
Tony Khan would never. If he
You don't
didn't
think
let
so?
if he didn't let Dustin Rhodes show up, like a person who isn't that involved, like he's in AEW, but it's not like he didn't let him intervene like at Cody's expense. I feel like that probably was thrown around. I don't think he'd do Jack Perry.
Never say never. I mean, they took
Especially-
that photo for a reason.
Yeah, but they were both at the Comic-Con or whatever. So Drew McIntyre like always likes pushing the envelope, and didn't he delete it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was on purpose, though. It's like,
You
oh
think
shit,
so?
I shouldn't be doing
Wow.
that.
Yeah, and then he knows that everyone's just gonna screenshot it and reshare it anyway. But
Right.
Yeah.
that's gonna be sick. That's gonna be entertaining as hell. And it's also CM Punk's first televised singles match because he did beat Dominic Mysterio in December at Madison Square Garden at a house show. But his first singles match televised in 14 years, 13 years, something like that. So that'll be exciting. Obviously, he was in AEW, but WWE.
Gonna put him through real glass. He's gonna tell him to
Yep.
cry him a river.
I bet you he's going to do something like that for SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre. It won't be. I don't think it'll be glass, but it'll be something with like Cry Me a River. It's got to be.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Solo Sikoa, Cody Rhodes. I was like, I still don't think Solo Sikoa has that Riz yet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they put the necklace on him. I think what I'm more excited about is I'm pretty sure Roman Reigns is coming back. If not,
Oh yeah.
this upcoming SmackDown in Cleveland, then SummerSlam, which that would be wild because
Mhm.
I feel like that the time is now, right? Or do you feel like they're just going to
That's a
keep
different
doing
guy.
this? Yeah, well then you know what I mean. I think it's time for Roman Reigns to come back. He's had enough.
Oh, look at that. Marcin, the Roman Reigns fan.
Oh yeah, I'm riding that Roman train.
When's this John Cena tour starting?
2025, he said.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So January 1st, basically, whatever the first Raw show is, I think. I don't know if he's doing both SmackDown and Raw, but yeah, should be interesting. Well, folks, that's a wrap for this episode of Chi-Town Shoot Podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, and leave your feedback. Tune in next time for more wrestling madness. Until then, keep marking.